At the start of this year, my family and I made a pact. We'd bake a cake together every weekend. At first, it was just about trying new cakes we wouldn't normally make, but honestly, it turned into something much more, something we'll get into as the series unfolds. For now, let's start with the cake. I'm Erin, and this is the Dolce Vita. Today, we're baking an Earl Grey tea cake with orange zest and dark chocolate. Yes, I said tea cake, but stay with me, it's worth it. You might have noticed some tea bags in the video. This recipe actually calls for loose leaf tea. Did I have loose leaf tea? No. So, I improvised, tore open a few tea bags, and measured them out. Classic rookie move, not fully reading the recipe until you're already filming and the kids are standing there waiting. But hey, mistakes are part of the journey. And that's actually the first big lesson of this series. How we move on from making a mistake is an indicator of how resilient we are. Resiliency is not inherent, it's modeled and learned. And it turns out cake baking is a surprisingly great classroom for that. All right, step 1. Set your oven to 350 degrees. Next, let's prep the frosting. Bring the cream to a simmer, stir in the tea, take it off the heat, let that tea steep for 30 minutes to an hour, and then chill it. Chill is the key word, trust me, we'll circle back. While that's cooling, whisk together your dry ingredients. Here's where I get philosophical. Baking a cake is an act of transformation, and transformation never painless. Change has to happen at a fundamental level to have a lasting effect. In order for these ingredients to transform into its preordained cake, they must change their old states. Flour doesn't stay flour, sugar doesn't stay sugar. They combine with baking powder to make a new foundation. Yes, I am still talking about cake, but I am also talking about us. Next up, beat the butter and sugar until fluffy. Add the orange zest that you just washed my oldest zest. Then add the eggs one at a time. My youngest missed the bowl with one and she felt really terrible about it. We told her it was no big deal. Wipe it up, grab another egg, and move on. Be nice to yourself. In fact, practicing self-compassion literally rewires the brain. When we treat ourselves with kindness, we quiet the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, boosts the problem-solving side, and we strengthen the parts that help us stay calm. That simple shift builds resilience and lets happiness rise, just like this cake batter will in a minute. Add the flour mixture on low, then slowly add the milk. One more brain fact. Resilience and happiness even share the same neural pathways. The prefrontal cortex, the problem solver, teams up with the hippocampus and the amygdala to help us adapt and recover. Neurotransmitters like dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin shape our joy, our balance, and our connection. Even stress, when met with flexibility, sparks neurogenesis in the hippocampus, literally growing our ability to bounce back. Now, fold in the chocolate. Pro tip, break your chocolate into smaller chunks than I did, or they'll all sink to the bottom. Still tasty, but probably not the recipe's intent. Pour the batter into an 8-inch cake pan, or, if you're like me, a 9-inch cake pan because that's all you own. The cake comes out thinner, but it's still delicious. Bake for 30 to 35 minutes. While that's in the oven, let's talk philosophy. In one of my favorite books, there's a story about a 1922 Parisian newspaper asking writers if the world were ending, how would people behave? Most predicted a descent into selfishness and hedonism, but novelist Marcel Proust had a different take. He believed that people would finally start prioritizing doing what they love. They'd travel, profess love, visit museums, learn to paint, to dance, to bake. Proust continues, and yet we shouldn't have needed the cataclysm to love life today. It would have been enough to think that we are all humans and that death may come this evening. His point is that we shouldn't need an impending apocalypse to start prioritizing what brings us joy today. So, why wait for an occasion to bake a cake? Instead, let's bake a cake every week to make an occasion. Speaking of cake, transfer that cake to a rack and let it cool for 15 minutes. Let's get back to the frosting. Remember that chilled tea cream? Yeah, I didn't chill mine enough. That was our first cake together, and managing the kids, multiple steps, while also trying to make it a recordable process was complicated to say the least. Add the remaining quarter cup of cream and the confectioner sugar to the tea cream. Beat the cream mixture on medium until medium stiff peaks form. Then add the mascarpone cheese and beat just until stiff peaks form. Don't overmix. Spoiler, I overmixed. My tea cream wasn't cold enough, so stiff peaks were never going to appear. Womp womp. I'd never worked with mascarpone cheese before. In fact, until I wrote this script, I didn't even know how to pronounce mascarpone. Anyway, it turns out it's fickle. If it's not roughly the same temperature as a tea cream, the texture will be off. My sister, who's an accomplished baker, shared a hack with me to fix this in the future. If your cream and cheese are different temperatures, gently heat them together over a double boiler until the mixture is smooth. Or blow a hairdryer on the side of the mixing bowl if you're like me and don't own a double boiler. I don't think my mistake changed the flavor. It was delicious. But when I make this again, I think I'll swap the mascarpone for cream cheese. It's a little easier to deal with. And now for the results. I had some powerful in-house judgment ahead of me, and I wasn't feeling confident that this cake would be a winner. It turns out that, per usual, my anxiety was for naught. I loved this cake and will 100% make it again. It was a great snacking cake. It was moist, the orange zest brought out the Earl Grey flavor, and the chocolate was a great addition. Both the kids loved it too. I know this because I kept it out on our kitchen counter and it didn't last to see Wednesday. The full ingredient list and the recipe are in the description. If you try this cake, drop a comment to let me know if you liked it or not and whether you managed to tame the mascarpone. Thanks for watching the Dolce Vita. Next episode, a childhood favorite cake. See you then.